Bili's Cave of Secrets. Bili, 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 you're hurrying again. Where are you going? Stop! It was Libby. I must have called him without paying attention. I don't remember why. He yelled because I didn't hear him. It's difficult to hear someone when you are hurrying. Standing in front of me was a big white bear. He was dressed in a blue and white striped button-down shirt with rolled-up sleeves. Over the shirt were denim dungarees that had huge side pockets and a red heart pocket in the center. He wore thick glasses and a white cap turned backwards. He held a red and blue tool chest with a yellow handle in one hand and a walking stick in the other. Hello, Libby. Good afternoon, Bili. You're hurrying again. Stop for a minute and breathe. I don't have time. Please, just for a minute. I couldn't refuse. He asked so nicely, in a soft, sweet voice. I stopped and I breathed. Listen. Silence. I could hear the sound of my breath and my heartbeat. After a minute, I became impatient and wanted to leave. Libby took a large kaleidoscope out of his tool chest and gave it to me. Lift your head and peer through the hole. What could I do? I had already stopped, taken a breath, and listened. I took the kaleidoscope, lifted my head, and peered through the hole. I turned the other end of the tube. What did I see? Imagine a face changing colors. Black, gray, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, white. It was my face, Bili's face, changing colors one after the other, like on a roulette table. It stopped at gray. I put down the kaleidoscope. I heard Libby's voice. Bili, Bili, sad and gray, what happened to make you feel this way? I started to cry. Libby took a white handkerchief out of one of his pockets and hugged me. Bili, Bili, take a deep breath. Tell me what's wrong and why. Tell me what is making you cry. I tried to fight back my tears. Why am I so sad? They hear me, but they don't listen. They don't understand me. I'm alone. I don't have anyone to talk to. My tummy hurts because I keep everything inside. Bili, Bili, I want to know, why and when did these pains begin to show? He spoke in rhyme to try and make me happy. It didn't work. I don't know why and when the pains appeared. I never told anyone about them. I hid them for so long I couldn't remember where they came from. I don't know why, but I understood that Libby was listening to me. He took my hand and slowly led me down a path until we reached the entrance of a dark cave. Above the opening was a small red sign, Bili's Cave of Secrets. Strangers not allowed. I understood. They are here. They are hiding here. I came closer. A chubby little girl stood at the entrance. She was around 9 years old, dressed in a summer dress and rubber boots. I looked at the girl. Who is she? What is she doing here? It was as if she was waiting for me. She looked familiar. She resembled a little girl in our family album. Libby opened his tool chest. He took out binoculars, a walking stick, a knapsack, and a headlamp, like miners wear to see inside the dark mine. In addition, he took out tissues and a pair of rubber boots. All of them were for me. I put the binoculars, the boots, the tissues, and the headlamp in my knapsack. I held the walking stick in my right hand and gave the girl my left hand. Libby sat on a bench near the cave. I'm here, waiting for you. Take your time. I said goodbye and walked towards the opening. I saw the strangers not allowed sign. The cave was closed. My name is Bili, I said, and the cave opened. I bent down. The entrance was meant for someone smaller than me. The little girl and I entered the cave in silence, without talking. darkness. I took the headlamp out of my knapsack, lit it, and put it around my head. I looked around and saw numerous passageways. Hiding in the shadows of the walls of the cave were many secrets. I heard crying and wailing, sounds of painful memories and sorrow. I heard many sounds emanating from the passageways. How many is many, you ask? Many is simply many. More than one, more than four. Maybe more than 100, maybe even more. The cave was full of secrets. I walked cautiously and looked around. The floor was very slippery, wet from tears. I took the boots out of my knapsack. Carefully, I took off my shoes and pulled on the boots. I put my shoes into the knapsack. I went down the steps slowly. I held onto the banister with my right hand and held the little girl's hand with my left. I heard a very weak voice and stopped. I saw nothing. I took the binoculars out of the knapsack. I saw a very small secret, a newborn, crying alone in the corner. I went to her. I took out a tissue from the knapsack, wiped her tears, and hugged her until she fell asleep. When I left, I noticed a small light appeared around the center of her heart. I was very moved and needed some fresh air, so I left the cave. Doobie Libby was sitting on the bench, dozing. I sat next to him and put my head on his shoulder. He woke up and hugged me. I told him everything I had seen. Everything is as it should be, my child. Take your time. I am waiting for you outside, he said. We parted, and I went back into the cave. The little girl was waiting for me at the entrance. I smiled, and she took my hand. I lit the headlight and went down the stairs, the walking stick in one hand and the little girl's hand in the other. I suddenly noticed a secret hiding on the right side of the cave. A huge, old secret, dressed in black from head to toe, his body crumpled, his head sunken between closed shoulders, his gaze looking down. Hello, my secret, my beloved secret. My name is Bili. I came to meet you. To be precise, I came to listen to you, to give you a hug. My secret took a deep breath, and his body filled with air like a balloon. He straightened up, his eyes filled with tears, and he began to talk. I gave him a tissue. I listened and reflected back his words to be sure I understood what he was saying. I asked him why he appeared, and he answered. I felt him. I didn't argue with him. I didn't correct him. I simply listened to him. I reflected back his words again to make sure I understood exactly what he had to say. I didn't tell him stories about myself. I didn't give him advice. I listened and observed. Slowly, the color of his body turned pink, and a small light began to appear around the center of his heart. I took another break to breathe air, to calm down, and tell Doobie Libby about the huge old secret I met, and then went back inside. The little girl was waiting for me at the entrance. She gave me her hand. I felt an inner peace. There was no need to talk. I went from secret to secret, listened to their stories, and said goodbye to each one. Thank you for sharing, I told them. Thank you for listening to me, they answered quietly. I went in and out of the cave until the crying weakened, until the secrets disappeared, and the cave was filled with light. How long did it take, you ask? Oh, an hour or two, a day or two, maybe even a year or two. I stood at the exit of the cave. I didn't need a headlamp. The cave was full of light. I put the headlamp and the binoculars back into the knapsack and went outside. Doobie Libby was waiting for me. We hugged. I put down the knapsack, took off the boots, and put on my shoes. Doobie Libby opened his toolbox and put the headlamp, the binoculars, the walking stick, and the boots inside. Obviously, there were no tissues left. He took out the kaleidoscope again. I looked through this hole and turned the end of the tube. I saw the same face changing colors. My face. The kaleidoscope stopped at yellow. Doobie Libby smiled. The little girl smiled, and I smiled too. I felt joy throughout my body. Suddenly, I started to laugh. The laughter started to fill my entire body. I laughed with tears running down my face. Doobie Libby started to laugh with me, and the little girl joined in. We rolled on the floor, laughing. We cried from laughing. It was hard for us to breathe from so much laughter. After a long time, we reached the end of our laughter. Doobie Libby went to the rainbow bridge, took out his keys, put them in the keyholes one by one. Each key was a different color: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. I listened as the colors turned into sounds. Red to do, orange to re, yellow to mi, green to fa, blue to so, indigo to la, and violet to ti. Slowly, the sounds became a melody. And Doobie Libby began to sing, to move, to dance, to skip, and to jump. Goodbye, said Doobie Libby as he crossed over the bridge and returned home, somewhere over the rainbow. I dried my eyes as he disappeared from view and thanked him in my heart. I took a deep breath and I continued on my way. The little girl also disappeared from view, but I could still feel her hand in mine.